Welcome to Healing the Tigress, a podcast of conversations and stories on Asian American Pacific Islander maternal mental health. We are your hosts. I'm Peggy, a perinatal mental health therapist.
And I'm Jasmine, a clinical pharmacist who is perinatal mental health certified. Both of us are Taiwanese American mothers who have lived experiences of postpartum depression and anxiety. It felt like we didn't see anyone who looked like us also struggling with their mental health in new motherhood. But we would go on to learn that it wasn't just us and that there was so much more to perinatal mental health.
So we created this podcast because we know that sharing these stories can begin to break the stigma of mental health in our community, and we want to help heal the inner tigress in all AAPI parents. Let's get started. Happy summer, everyone. As you know, we take a summer break for the podcast in order to be present with our kids and prepare for the next season. And the reality is that summer can often be harder with childcare, both for working moms and non-working moms.
So in today's episode, we thought it would be pertinent to dive into what our summers have been like lately and some of the conversations we've had around the challenges, the joys, the unexpected mental load of trying to give our kids the best summer ever. And whether you're a parent who hasn't gotten to these kinds of summers yet or wants to hear about what to expect, or if you're a parent who is in this boat and wants to commiserate with us, let's get into it.
Yeah. Well, I love that you thought of this episode because I feel like both of our kids we're now kind of having to explore what summer options look like because they're no longer in preschool. And I had heard from friends before, right? Like how hard it is. And then until you're actually in it, you're like, oh my gosh. Like the first thing everyone complains about is like why the camps aren't all day, why they're here and there, why they're so expensive, all these things. And so you begin to wonder, why do we have summer break in the first place? Why can't you just be in school all the time? We don't get summer breaks from work unless you are a school teacher and you are of the blessed few that get that off. But even then, you're not truly off because then I have school teacher friends who have to think of things to do with their kids over the summer too.
Over the summer,
Also, yes. So I thought it would be fun to just find out the history. I mean, this is the nerdy nerd in me about it, but I really want, like, why do we have summer breaks? And I don't know about you, but I had always heard the myth because of the like farming days and that the kids needed to be off in the summer so that they could help the farm. Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And apparently that's not true. And that's a myth because if you were to truly think about the most busiest times for a farmer, it's like spring harvest and fall harvest. I mean, farmers are busy all year round, but you're going to need the most work in the spring and in the fall. So this idea that the summer break was to let these kids go help the farm isn't true. Also, were all the kids farmers? No, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is actually because and I'm not pretending to be an expert. This is all from Googling, but it's because the true origin of summer break came from the rise of major industrial cities and the lack of air conditioning.
Oh my gosh. That's why? Because they didn't have air conditioning?
Yes. So they said in the mid 1800s, urban schools actually did operate year round. And so according to this PBS link I found, in 1842, New York City public schools were open 248 days a year.
Oh my gosh.
Compared to, I think it's 180 days a year
180.
now.
Yeah.
Right. And then as cities grew denser and there's concrete and asphalt, it's going to be hotter and hotter in a city like New York City. Or currently, I think there's a heat wave in Europe, right?
Yep.
And so this is before air conditioning and packing like a bunch of kids in poorly ventilated classrooms.
Oh, so they needed them to be out of the building when it was too hot. Oh.
Yeah. And so it was like miserable and actually seen as a health hazard. And another thing that was happening too, school attendance wasn't legally mandatory at the time. Okay. So the wealthy and middle class families would actually just pull their children out of school as soon as the weather started to get hot. And then they would go to their cooler country homes on the beach side.
Hamptons
in the Hamptons, right? And so by the late 19th and early 20th century, school reformers were pushing to standardize the school system across the country. And they needed like a single calendar that worked for both cities and rural areas. So then they shortened the urban school year by eliminating the summer term. So then the city folk can get a break from the heat.
Hmm.
And then they lengthened the rural school year, but then I think they got like the same amount of education, but then they could, have their spring and fall agricultural periods. But
Hmm.
the TLDR of it all was then this is the birth of the modern 180-day school year with a standardized summer vacation. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you to air conditioning. Should we now have kids in school longer because we have air
We
conditioning?
can. I mean, someone had told me, and I don't hear of this very often, it's a little bit unusual, but I do have a friend that told me that they have, quote, all year round school,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they still get certain breaks. Like summers is shorter, like maybe a month and a half, and then they get other months off actually in the fall and like not quite spring, but like they get like a month off then.
Mm.
So they kind of space out, I guess, their breaks, which like I would love to take like fall vacation instead of,
Yeah.
because like it's cooler, it's not as hot,
Mm-hmm.
and like the travel prices are also not as insane, although
Mm-hmm.
maybe travel prices are insane because we have everyone
Right.
off in the summer. But yeah, that almost sounds a little bit more like this schedule you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Although when you were saying that about like, oh, the kids would be, not that helpful in the summer, but maybe they didn't want the kids helping on like during the harvesting time. Maybe they were getting in the way. Like they were like, you need to be out of my hair during this time so that I can get stuff done and be more
Mm-hmm.
efficient. But I don't know. That's just, I mean, back then probably they actually wanted the help. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, I thought also we could maybe share a little bit also about like what did you remember about your summers growing up? Because I feel like I don't know about you, but like I feel like my child summers are quite different than mine. And I don't know if it's just like
Mm.
the society pressure has changed or the area we're living in now is like everyone's doing something different. But I almost feel like, the challenges that we sort of see now or face or like feel the pressures to keep up with are a little different than when we were growing up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you. Like, what do you remember about summers back then?
Yeah. It's funny. I was just talking to my sister about this recently, and she's like, "I remember going to camp. I don't know about you." And I was like, "No, no, no. I think I remember going to camp, but we had camps, so we definitely went to camps. But I feel like there might have been some summers where my grandparents must have been around, but I'm blanking on it because they would live with us part of the year and then live
Hmm.
in Taiwan part of the year, and I'm assuming they purposely would come back to the States in the summer and then not want to be in the States in the winter because it snowed where I lived. So I think if
Yeah.
they were here in the summer, then they could watch us. But I think also my parents wanted us to be doing something other than just being at
Hmm.
home. So I do remember going to like day camps, maybe sleepaway camps, like vacation
Wow.
Bible school types of camps. And I can't remember, I think at a certain age, I did actually go to Taiwan with my mom for a pretty long length of time because she was in an association of like American Chinese school teachers and they had like conferences in Taiwan. So there was also times where if I wasn't in camp, I would be traveling, but it was mostly camps if I recall. Maybe every now and then, maybe not all summer. Maybe there's like camp for several weeks and maybe there's a week here and there where my grandparents would help and then maybe
Hmm.
there's a week here and there where we would travel. And then definitely when my mom was going to Taiwan for like all summer, I was definitely a couple years in a row, I was in Taiwan all summer, which sounds so hot.
So then I'm curious, like, were these camps, you mentioned a couple of themes, but were they
Mhm.
more for like education? Did you feel like these camps made your summer magical or memorable in that sense?
You know what? Probably not. The fact that my sister's like, I remember camp, but she's like, because I was like vaguely remembering camp. My sister really
Yeah.
remembered camp. And then I'm trying to dig back into the recesses of my brain. And I feel like do I remember camp, or was that, in elementary school where you have like a week long
Mm-hmm.
like science camp or whatever? I was like, was that what I'm remembering? And then if I vaguely remember some camps, I even have like, I have pictures of me in like a t-shirt, which is clearly a camp t-shirt. I would wear
Mm-hmm.
this oversized camp t-shirt to sleep all the time. And that was like one of those outdoor camps. When you think of like
Mm.
traditional 90s camps, it's like outdoors, it's just outdoor stuff. It's not like
Wow.
sitting there doing math or writing or
Yeah.
science. It was just like outdoorsy
I
things.
think
You're
of
like
like the Parent
outside.
Trap.
Yes, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
camps that I remember. The only one that was like more of an indoor one was the VBS.
Okay. But you kind of remember the outdoorsy ones then, like
Yes, yeah.
free play kind of stuff like that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Oh, how interesting. I never had camp. Like I'm the complete
Oh.
opposite. I never did camp as a kid. And I don't know, is part of it might have just been like it was too expensive.
Mhm,
That also like dropping off, picking up might have been like a nightmare. I don't
mhm,
know. We also didn't have like I think maybe 1 or 2 summers we might have had a grandparent come over and stay, but it wasn't like a regular thing that we had. And we did usually take like one summer trip, and that was part of like the summer plans, is that, my parents would try to plan that during the summer. So I always kind of looked forward to at least the travel part of that. And they were very big on traveling. Like we didn't have a lot of money, but they would usually save up for at least a vacation to travel
mm,
somewhere, because that was
mhm,
like what they were really, really into. But yeah, I didn't ever go to camps. I think like in high school, I was a camp counselor. Like I was a
mhm,
Chinese camp counselor.
mhm,
So I did that, but like that's different. Like it's from the other side, is like, you're a little older by that
mhm.
point. But as a kid, yeah, no, I actually would go with my mom to work. Like my
All
mom would
summer?
all summer.
Oh my gosh.
My mom would take me because they didn't have like a ton of people working in that office space, and
Mm,
there was like a big conference room. And so she was like, yeah, just stay here and like do your work all day. So
mm,
she'd go to like those bookstores and those like educational bookstores, like school learning
right.
places, and like buy me like the next grade level of like this fat book of like, reading comprehension and math and like that kind of stuff, right? And like literally this fat ginormous book, she'd be like, finish this by the end of summer, and like
Wow.
go ham, like do this,
Mhm,
right? So it'd be like that. And yeah, I would just self-study, and I would just be in the conference room all day entertaining myself somehow. I'd
mm.
like turn on the radio from like the phone, like listen to like all the music. And I listened to a lot of like oldies music
Mhm.
back then. I'd like run into the warehouse and play with like the guy in the warehouse who would like be, taking in the shipping packages and stuff. And I play with the packing peanuts. And I'd like, run around like the boxes and like, the aisles of all the crates and stuff. And basically like the warehouse was probably the most fun part of the building. So I got
Mm.
to know her coworkers very well. But that's what I did during the summer. And like I don't really remember like too much else. It was a little bit boring in a sense. Like I'd read a
But did you
lot.
finish the whole workbook? If you want to hear more of this bonus episode, please become one of our subscribers on Buzzsprout at healingthetigress.buzzsprout.com or click the Support the Show link in the show notes. Once you subscribe, you can listen from the Buzzsprout page, or you can put a unique RSS feed into your podcast platform of choice to listen directly through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or more. And you'll have access to all of our past subscriber-only episodes too. These subscriptions help fund our recording and publishing platforms and help us to continue to keep doing this work to destigmatize mental health. Your support is deeply appreciated in helping normalize talking about these topics in our AAPI community and beyond. Thank you for listening.
We want to thank you deeply for tuning into this episode of Healing the Tigress. The more we share these stories, the more we can help our AAPI mothers and partners. If you enjoyed this episode and our mission, you can help us out in the following ways. Follow our show wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a rating and or a review, and share our podcast with a friend.
We also encourage you to follow us on Instagram at Healing the Tigress, where we hope to build a community of healing tigresses and give you updates on what's coming. And if you want more bonus episodes, please check out our show notes for how to subscribe to our exclusive content. Or you can also head over to our Buzzsprout page at healingthetigress.buzzsprout.com. We are not for profit. We are here to help our community, but any support you give us is so deeply appreciated. Above all, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here.
Healing the Tigress is produced and edited by Peggy and Jasmine.
Music for this show is remixed by Dr. Tony Huynh of Tony Mixes.
Our intro music is a cover of You and Me by Z Avi, played by our co-host Peggy.
Our outro music is a cover of Green Island Serenade, played by Jasmine's sister.
Cover art design is by Dr. Angela Chung.